Hey, what's up? I'm your host, Rashanda Castile, here at the Fanonomics Podcast. And I just wanted to take a quick second to let you know who I am and why I do what I do. My name is Rashanda Castile. Like I said, I am a proud mother of 7 amazing children. I reside here in the city of Compton from Long Beach, California. And I just want to let you know that there's so many different things that I have experienced in my life that has brought me to this present moment. And I want to let you know that I've been knowing for a very long time that one of my superpowers was my voice. So there's no better time than now for me to get back in this space and get back in this space where I can do my podcast, right? Let you know who I am, let you know what I do and my why. Not only is it about my why, but I want you to know that why it's so important that you get a chance to get to know me. Like I said, I'm a mother of 7. I do have a son who has transitioned almost 3 years ago, but he's still in that number, right? So I still consider him one of the 7 because he is one of the 7. So I got to this space dealing with family services, DPS, about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I made a decision to allow my son to go to his aunt's house. Very first time in his life I ever allowed him to go anywhere other than my mother and my immediate family's house for a period of time, which at this time it was spring break. And needless to say, that was one of the worst decisions that I made in my life. Shortly after that, I let my son know that, hey, spring break was up, things are changing, come back home. And I was called by Compton Sheriff's Department to say that I was under investigation. At that time, my heart went to my feet. I never felt pain like that before. I've never been under any kind of investigation or anything dealing with my children. So this was definitely a surprise to me. I got the call from the sheriff's department. I was told what the allegations were. I had a chance to go to the sheriff's department and speak to the department of the sheriff's department and really try to get to understand where these things were coming from, where these allegations were coming from. So I just want to say that if you're ever in a situation where you have CPS and you have an open CPS case, what I can tell you that will be the most important thing for you or any parent to do is just tell the truth. Just be honest. And I'm saying that because a lot of times since me being in this space, me being the founder of Family Behavior Modification Services, a lot of times I run into clients who don't want to be completely honest with themselves. I'm not to say who did what, who's guilty or who's not, but I know as a parent who's been in that space, who has experienced CPS, let me tell you, it's a space and it's a feeling that I don't think any parent wants to be in, or you don't ever want to have those feelings. So when I found out the allegations, and my allegations were really, really heartbreaking. And I think the reason why it was heartbreaking because where it was coming from, the situation, the timeline, all these things, I just didn't understand. So as I continued to talk to the sheriff's department, then I later got interviewed by CPS. At that time, they told us that we didn't have an open case, but they will let us know if something was to open. So a few weeks later, I did get a knock on my door saying that, they were CPS and the cases, they decided to open a case against me and my family, and we started to go to court. I can remember the first day that I went to court. I remember a little bitty small Caucasian man walk up to me and say, well, 9 times out of 10, these allegations are true because the person that you're dating has been incarcerated. And what that means is most African American men who go to jail who've been incarcerated are homosexual. So I want to say a disclaimer. I didn't believe anything that he said, but I really wanted to understand where all this was coming from. I've never really truly opened up about what happened to me and how did I get into CPS, but I think it's really time for me to start opening up and sharing my story because there's a lot of people who've been in CPS. and you really don't feel like you have an advocate. You really don't feel like you have somebody who can relate to you that's not being judgmental. They're in that space when I got the CPS case, and me and my whole family, me and all of my children, had to attend a court hearing here in Monterey Park. It was so hurtful and devastating to me and very painful because I hadn't seen my son in over 2 months. That was the first time that I seen my son. And when I seen my son, he was so excited, and he came up to me, mommy, mommy, and he's hugging his brothers and sisters. He's talking to my boyfriend at the time and everything. So it was just kind of odd for me for them to say all these allegations and to watch his body language and everything. So I asked the judge, and I asked the social worker, does this look like the body language of a person who's been through what you guys are trying to say that he's been through? And the story, it kind of unfolds because there was a long time. My CPS case was actually open for about 6 months. But in this 6 months, I would get calls from social workers. They would knock at the door unexpectedly. 2:00 in the morning, they would knock on the door. They would come in the house looking through the closets. I remember them one time going through my closet like dress by dress, as if they was gonna find the boogeyman or something. And I just didn't understand. They would ask my kids 1,001 questions. They would have me take them to the medical office to get a physical to see if they had been molested and all these things. But at that time, it's like a lot of people probably would be angry and stressed out, but I wasn't, because at first I knew that I didn't do anything. And the second, I really couldn't understand, why was I being put in this place by my in-laws? That was the thing that I didn't understand. I'd never been the kind of parent to let my kids go spend a night at people's house, do those things. And the very first time I drop my guards, I get in a situation like this, was very hurtful. I don't even know if the way I felt could really express how I was feeling. I felt betrayed. I felt robbed. As time went by, you guys, there was times where I didn't hear from my son for 4 months. I had to call Riverside County Unified School District and say, hey, my name is Rashanda Castile. I'm looking for my son, Elijah Rufus. This is what's going on. And 2 weeks later, somebody did call me and say, hey, we do have a Elijah E. Rufus here. And so we set up a date and a time. Me, my mother, and the social worker went to Riverside. And the crazy thing about it, the social workers from LA didn't even know where my son was. So talking about getting lost in the sauce, they didn't even know where he was. But I knew that he was with his aunt who lived in Moreno Valley. So I'm like, okay, let me call Riverside School District. We found Elijah. We got the appointment, the date, the time. Me, my mother, and the social worker went out to go see him. I got to the school. I met the counselor, and she's like, hi. She was like, I spoke to Elijah, and he knows that you guys are here, and he's planning on coming to the meeting. I said, okay, great. And she said something to me that was very disturbing, right? She said, I would like to know, how long has Elijah been deaf and defecating on himself? To my surprise, that was very shocking to me, because I've been with Elijah his whole life. And since he was born, brung him out the hospital, he's never been deaf, and he's never had a situation where he defecates on himself. So I explained to her that, and she says, no, well, we've done 2 hearing tests, and he's had some episodes. So I'm like, well, maybe we got the wrong Elijah. So we walk to the meeting space, we go to the interview and everything. And to not to my surprise, but kind of dealing with the people that we dealing with, I wasn't surprised. So the aunt and the cousins and everybody who put him in this situation, nobody showed up to the meeting. They decided they wanted to do a speaker call. They were on speaker. Which it wasn't surprising to me, because I know me, and if they were smart, that's what they did. They did what they did. They stayed on that side of the phone. So I was surprised to know that Elijah was enrolled in a school in Riverside School District, and it was told by the person, the guardian that put him in school, that he was deaf and he was defecated. He defecated on himself. But I want to kind of back up a little bit, you guys, to what got me into this place to let Elijah go to his aunt's house. Because some people say, well, how did he get here? X, Y, Z. Well, I was in the process of moving. At this time, my mom and my family, everybody lived in Moreno Valley. So everybody was like, I think it'd be a good idea for you to move your kids and you guys to come to Moreno Valley because, it's a lot of stuff going on in Compton. Well, I'm still biased. There's not a lot of stuff going on in Compton. There's a whole lot of people doing stuff in the city of Compton. So I decided when things were, I was preparing myself, I was going to move to Moreno Valley. So my mom said, hey, guess what? My owner has a house for rent. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let them know that I'm interested in it. I'll do whatever I need to do, how much it costs. I end up getting the house from the owner, giving the owner the deposit, moving all of my things from Compton to Moreno Valley storage facility because the property wasn't going to be available until the following week. Well, a few days before I thought we were going to move into our new place, the guy said, hey, I have a family member who needs this house. I'm not going to be able to rent it to you. Therefore, it left me just up in the air. So now it's me and my other all of my kids up in the air. So what am I supposed to be doing? Because guess what? All my stuff is out the house in Compton. I no longer have that address. I don't live in that house. All my stuff is in the storage in Moreno Valley. So what did I do? I said to my son's aunt, because my son wanted to stay out there. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if I should let him stay because that's a long time. And then we were on spring break, and spring break was like maybe 2 weeks. So now here it is. I'm displaced. I'm basically homeless. I ain't got nowhere to live. My stuff is in storage. So what am I gonna do? So I did what any mother who didn't want their kid to be out of school, be homeless with me. He said, well, can I stay at my aunt's house? And I said, well, let me ask her and see how she feels about that, because I know that the aunt is a foster parent. So I didn't want that to kind of conflict with her being a foster parent and letting my son stay there. So she agreed. So we spoke about it. She agreed that he can stay there until school started. And when school started, by then I should have found me a place. And we were already going to be in Moreno Valley, and we were just going to pick up where we left off. So she allowed him to stay there. But one thing resonates in my mind and in my heart today like never before. When we got to FedEx, I signed a notarized letter giving her the authority to enroll him in school, because I was back out here in LA trying to find a place. It didn't matter if I moved to Moreno Valley, where I was moving. I just knew I couldn't be homeless with my kids. So wherever I went to find a place, that's just basically that's just basically what happened. So I allowed her to put Elijah in school. I allowed her to enroll him in school, and that was it. I found out what school he was going to and everything. There was not a problem. The only problem that I had was, fast forward to maybe 3 or 4 weeks later after he got enrolled, I called and I said, Elijah, I want you to know that mommy found a place, and I'm going to be out there around between the 1st and the 3rd to get my stuff out of the storage so I don't have to basically pay the storage fee all over again. So I'm calling him, and I remember very, very vividly. It was October 28th. It was a few days before Halloween. And he said, well, mommy, can I stay until Halloween? That's when I said, well, I'll be there on the 1st, and I'll come pick you up when I get my stuff out the U-Haul. They can either drop you off at the U-Haul or I'll pick you up. But, I got a better house. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. I'm just excited that, we're moving out of our 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. We was in that little tiny space for a long time. And I never knew that would be the point where my life changed forever. My life absolutely changed forever. The people that I trusted the most with my son, which is his grandmother and his great aunt and his cousins, I trusted these people with my son, and boy, did they take me on a roller coaster ride. I would have never imagined that I would have been robbed from my son. And that's what I was robbed. Why? Because like I said, a few months later, once they got him into the school district, once I called and told him that, mommy found a place and we were getting ready to move and all these things are going to be better, to my surprise, when I spoke to him that day, was not even 72 hours from the day I called him and told him that mommy found a place. I'm going to come out there on the 1st and I'm going to pick you up. We're going to come home. I got a call from Compton Sheriff's Department saying that I was under investigation for physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, you name it. It was just devastating. It was just devastating. And I didn't know where any of this was coming from. And it was a mess, because when I would call, now I wasn't getting any response. I didn't get a chance to talk to my son. I would call and I would be getting cussed out and calling everything but a child of God. So it was just really crazy to me to try to really understand like what happened and what took place from the time I gave her the authority to put him in school. Shortly, as you can see, within 2 or 3 weeks later, from me calling him and saying, hey, mommy has found a place and I'm going to pick you up when I get my stuff out the U-Haul. So finding out, like I said, a few months later, because it was a couple of months before I actually heard from my son, because I was told that there was a CPS case. But in the same token, I'm talking to the social workers and I'm saying, hey, well, we got to go to court. Why can't I see my son? They're like, well, you can see your son. You didn't lose parental rights. You didn't lose education. You didn't lose any rights. There's just an open investigation. So needless to say, going back to the school, we're having the conversation. The relatives are on the other line on the speakerphone, and I'm in person. The social worker's in person, and my mom is in person. And I'm really trying to figure out how and when and where did Elijah get to the place where anybody had the right to say that he was deaf or he defecated on himself. So I'm trying to figure out myself, like, what sense does this really make to say that this able-bodied kid that has never been deaf or defecated on himself all of a sudden is in a position where CPS is involved. Now the aunt isn't answering my phone calls. The grandmother isn't answering my phone calls. There's been a lot of stuff being said. But needless to say, remind you, out of 6 months that me and all of my children went to court every month, didn't miss a beat, do you know the opposite side, the family never showed up with my baby? Talking about nobody. How can you make an allegation to us to act as if you have his best interest at heart and he has no support from the same people that said that he was molested and all these things? I'm pissed. But I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from as a parent. A lot of my clients walk in here, and guess what? A lot of their allegations are from family and friends. It's not the school district. It's not from the public. It's from the very people that you expect to do right by you, to love and to respect and to look out for you. Those are the people who are calling CPS and making allegations. But the hurtful part about this situation, me knowing that Elijah is at his aunt's house, for her to make those assumptions and those allegations without having any kind of evidence further lets me know that she's a fraud. This is why she's a fraud, because I have parents and family who are in the foster system, who are foster parents. And what she did was she built up a case against me, against my own son, for her own financial gain. Yes, why? Because if he needs services, he's a D-rate child now. You know what I'm saying? So now if he defecates on himself and he's deaf, that equals more money. I don't want to be the one to call no names, but you know who you are. Y'all know what y'all did. You guys know exactly what you did to put me in this place. But let me tell you what you did was you unleashed the beast. What you did was you allowed me to see who you really are, and God exposed you for who you really are. Not only did you destroy my family, not only did you dismantle us, you broke our hearts. You broke our hearts. My son was out of my house for 4 years because of the situation and the position that you guys put us in. My son was exposed to so much because of the situation and the exposure that you guys put him in. For your selfish, greedy, nasty ways. Look what you guys did to a whole family. Look what you guys did out of your bitterness and your anger and your hatred and your jealousy towards me. I can't help who God created me to be, who I am. This ain't no act. This ain't no front. I wake up like this. But you guys are so bitter, so nasty, so hateful. You guys have to use the weakest link. And I would say the weakest link was Elijah. Why? Because he allowed you guys to put him through the situation. And when he realized that he was wrong, and when he realized he was out of place, and he realized what he had did, that you guys coerced him through, he called me and he said, "Mommy." And I know what I told him. I said, "You know what? You don't even got to tell me anything negative about them people. You don't even have to say a word. The Holy Spirit already showed me and revealed to me who they were. But unfortunately, they had to use you as a willing vessel because you did not know or understand the situation. They never let you in their house because they loved you and they had your best interest and they tried to help me. They let you in their house because they seen dollar signs. They seen a check. That's what they seen. They didn't say, "Hey, this is my nephew and we looking out for his best interest." They said, "How can we win in this situation? How can we dismantle this mother and this son? How can we put them in a position where there's no trust?" Right? That's what they did. At the end of the day, that's what you guys did. You guys got a little bit of monetary compensation because I'm pretty sure you're going to watch this. And when you watch this, I want you to know that I count it all joy. You can't take nothing from me. You can't break me because guess what? You didn't make me. My son may not be here in the flesh, but he's in everything that you see that I'm doing, everything that I touch. So I count it all joy and I say, woe to you. I say, whoa. But guess what? God is good because guess what? I'm alive and I'm living and I'm going to continue to let the name of Elijah E. Rufus ring through the city of Long Beach, Compton, and globally. Because the only thing you did was you helped me realize who I am in God. You helped me realize and you helped me see that even though my son is not here in the physical realm, he is still standing beside me in the spiritual realm. And he is still rooting me on, saying, "Mom, continue to be the great you that you have always been." So I love you with the love of God. You guys are wrong. You already know you're wrong. But I want you to know that guess what? I count it all joy. And guess what? I am still Rashanda Castile. And I am the host of the Fanonomics Podcast, here where I help families navigate through foster systems. I help families with their services through CPS, parole, and probation. I help families. Why? Because I've lived it. I have the experience and I know what it takes to help them provide service, support, and solutions. God bless.